Welcome to Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa. Brought to you by Elite Consulting Partners, it's the only podcast offering unfiltered guidance and direct advice for all things concerning financial advisors, RIAs, and the practitioners in the wealth management business. Learn more and subscribe today at eliteconsultingpartners.com/podcasts. And now, here's your host, Frank LaRosa.
Hey everybody, welcome to Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa. I am your host, Frank LaRosa, of course. And as always, I am joined here by my compadre, Dale Dempsey, COO. What's up, buddy?
Hola. I couldn't resist.
That was good.
Yeah.
If you're new to the show, thanks for joining us. We hope you find the content really interesting. This is just a conversation. Imagine you're sitting at a bar. We don't have any drinks in our hands, but maybe we should. There's a huge festival going on in town, so maybe we should have run over there. But
some food truck food.
Anyway, yeah. So if you're new to the show, welcome. If you're returning a listener, thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget to check us out on our YouTube channel, Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa, and you can check out our digs. And we're dressed casual today because it's a little bit hot out right now, and our building doesn't have the best air units on days like this. So, but anyway, I thought today would be a really interesting topic. And that is really just addressing what we're seeing in the marketplace in terms of all of a sudden, we're seeing large advisors, W-2 retail advisors, moving to other W-2 firms, in particular, Morgan Stanley and UBS, which I think is really interesting because, those firms were out of protocol. There was somebody that said, I forget who it was, about 2 years ago, that said, I give them about 3 years, and they'll start recruiting again, right?
Right.
I think that was me.
I think that was you.
It might have been me.
It's in a previous episode, actually. I think
it is. The reality is, no matter what they're still in. They're still not in protocol, but they are clearly back in the business of recruiting, and I can't say that I blame them because I know how it works. And the reality is, which is what I said before, is that a branch can't grow its client AUM. An individual producer in a branch can't grow their AUM faster than the manager hiring an advisor with $300 million from another firm.
It's impossible.
Right? It's not possible.
It's next to impossible.
Right? And so the only way firms are able to continue to grow their AUM, especially public firms, grow their assets under management in a meaningful way is through recruiting. It is what it is. And what I think is really more interesting is that, because what I've said in the past is, listen, you may not like recruiting, and that's because you're overpaying for practices, right? They're chasing the money, and that's their prerogative to do that. But there are some firms like Raymond James, for instance, that isn't the high deal in the street. And they consistently recruit year in and year out. They're very profitable, and they get great advisors to their firm. And they're not the high bid. And so these firms should just really be careful about what they're paying for practices. And again, for someone like me, our job, candidly, is to get our clients as much money as possible. So I'm not saying doing it for our clients, but because when I'm bringing a client to one of those firms, I'm going to expect that they pay a lot for my clients.
The elite deal.
The elite deal. We want the elite deal, right? Our clients get the elite deal. We don't care what they're paying everybody else. Our clients are different. But it is interesting that they are back in the space, and it also brings up another question. Excuse me, because part of what we're seeing, which we have been seeing, and we're not going to talk about it today, but this movement to independence, right? So why are some of these advisors not going independent?
Thank you, JP Morgan, for letting all your private bankers go to Morgan and UBS and kickstarting their appetite. So y'all just served up a nice little appetizer.
That's true. That is true. That happened.
Oh, by the way, Merrill is looking to serve an entree in the same space.
Merrill, yeah.
And so I think people are starting to take a look at that and say, oh, look at that team and look at that team. And at first they entertain the conversation, with one of these firms and quickly realized that, well, it's more or less the same. Maybe it's a little bit better than where I am today, and it's a solution.
Yeah. What really happens is they say they say maybe it's the same, but when I look at my checking account, it's different. Right?
Yeah,
when I look at my checking account, there's a lot more zeros in it the day after I go to UBS or Morgan Stanley than staying at one of those other firms, right?
Yeah.
And so I do see a lot of that. I think that those firms, every firm has their pluses and minuses, right? Yeah. And so as long as you can make a decision to go to a firm like that, because even though I'm a huge proponent of independence and private practice and all that stuff, I also do realize, and some of these people are my friends, that some advisors aren't cut out for that.
Not even close.
Right.
And actually, staying inside of what you know best and what works for you and your clients is always the right thing to do.
That's the most important thing. You can go to some other independent firm, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to be in serious trouble, right? And so it's important that you understand that, and it's okay. It's not like, yes, you're hearing everybody go independent. Don't feel like you should be going independent just because you see other people doing it. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right for you.
Right. The independent space has just become a lot more robust. So now the band of advisors that go there are, it's wider because there's more services. There's more firms that have a presence in your local market.
We're not going to talk about independence, right? So we're
but I'm tying this back in.
Yeah.
But the reality is it's just a band. Okay. It doesn't mean that it's right for you, because you might be 25% in that band, and the other 75%, you really belong at an institution that's a large place that can provide services that
your lifestyle might be that way. You might.
That's a good point.
Right. You don't want to. There's things that you have to do when you're an independent business owner that you maybe just don't want to have to deal with, right? Maybe you don't want to deal with staff. Maybe you don't want to deal with offices. You don't want to deal with the rent and utilities and all that garbage, right? You just want someone to take care of it.
Right.
Right. And candidly, you're okay with getting the big check up front, and you understand, because you should understand, that all they're really doing is paying you your future dollars. Right? That's what a transition deal really is. You should owe taxes on it. So all of those things, which again, we're not going to get into. But our bigger point is it's okay.
It's
okay.
It's great
to do that.
Oh, definitely.
The other thing I think is spurring some of this on, and maybe we'll use Merrill as an example. We had a local team here leave, and they left Morgan Stanley, and they went to UBS. And every market that you're in, so if you're in a given market, you can think about they're very small markets. They'll go through these waves of movement, right? The reason why they go through waves of movement, even when the same managers are there, is because if you leave and you go take a big check from UBS, I'm going, damn, Dale just hit the bid, man. Maybe I start talking to my team, say, you know what, Dale just left. Like, all the accounts I inherited from him, they all left with him, right? So maybe we should start thinking about it. And that's what starts happening.
Right. Well, the other thing is, if I'm an advisor, I'm thinking to myself, all of these deals, all these firms have worked into their metrics the loans that they're going to give me as a new advisor. Mm-hmm. So automatically after the loan is paid back, are you really providing me with the same margin value that you were for the first decade that I was here? No, nothing changes. The economics don't change. So the way I look at it, if I'm an advisor, I'm just going to go recapitalize myself.
Right.
Yet again.
Yeah, and you
should be doing that.
I think that's another reason why there's this wave I think is coming, is that a lot of these advisors that made those moves 8, 9, 10 years ago, because think about what happened 10 years ago.
Right.
11 years ago.
Yeah, right. Thereabouts.
Market crash.
Yep.
Right. A lot of guys moved.
Yep.
Because they had to, they had to recapitalize because they lost a lot of their money, so they had to move.
Right.
Right. In order to get that check. Well, those contracts are all coming due. And to your point, if I'm that advisor, I'm off contract, I'm thinking, why am I staying here? Like, what are you really giving me that the Morgan Stanley office or the Wells office or the RBC office I don't want to get emails about culture and RBC and Stifel at different cultures. I get it, right? I get it. But my point is, on a general point of view, what are you really adding value, and why shouldn't I go and take that check? 150%, 160%,
It's
180 some firms.
The conflicts, that's the challenge. That's what I see is the conflicts for the client. That's the challenge in that space. While the other space is you have different business ownership challenges. Mm-hmm. This challenge is all about, I need to recapitalize myself. I need to take advantage of the fact that maybe I'm not getting full value on who I am as an individual, what I provide to my clients. That, bringing that back to your clients full circle, you got to make the right move.
Right. When I say, even when I ran a branch for Smith Barney, I used to recruit advisors. I used to say to them, look, you have to answer yes to 3 questions in this particular order, right? And if the answer is no to any one of those questions, you shouldn't move. The first question was, is the new firm right for your clients? And whatever that means. It could be, we're working with one client and they need family office services and they need certain things. And so they have to and so it limits where they can go, right? So is it right for your clients? If the answer is yes, that's good. You move on to the next question. That is it better for your practice, for your business? Meaning, can you do more business at the new firm, again, for whatever those reasons are, based on your book of business? Maybe it's alternatives. You can do more business on an alternative platform, right?
Right.
I worked with a client that we moved, and he had texted me because his business has really grown, because he was able to have access to, I should say, not necessarily but have access to a better alternative platform. So it's not that he did more alternatives, but it gave him something more to talk about with potential clients, prospects.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
It opened the door
Yeah.
for conversations that he couldn't have ordinarily. So that's number 2. Is it right for your business? Number 3, looking at the video. Number 3, if you're watching us on YouTube, 3, is it right for you and your family? And that's the deal money, culture. What's the office like? Visualize yourself in that space. What's the manager like? Right? Because now you have a different manager. You may like your current manager.
What are your centers of influence going to say to you at this new firm?
Branding,
right?
Brand is important.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as important as it used to be. I think that really nowadays advisors really own the relationship, meaning the clients are with them because of the client, unless you're at a private bank or something like that. But your clients really, and even that, there's some nuances to that too.
Well, look, I bring up the center
client
of it.
Doesn't give a crap whether the person's at UBS or Morgan Stanley.
But the center of influence might.
The center of influence might.
That's why I brought it up, because I think, hey, you've got to take that. Is it right for your family? I'm like sort of going on the fringes of.
But that's the number 2.
That might be a business
thing. So is it right for your business?
Yeah.
If you have centers of influence that have some apprehension with Morgan Stanley, for instance, and again, I'm not saying anything about Morgan.
Well, yeah, it could be for any firm.
Any firm. Wells Fargo. I mean, look, for a period of time, Wells Fargo was in the news all the time. And we were we had clients up in the Massachusetts marketplace and Boston area, and it was really more prevalent up there. And if you were an advisor with centers of influence and they had real problems with Wells Fargo and you went to Wells Fargo, you might have had a problem.
Yeah.
And so you'd have to figure out, what does that look like? But that's really your number 2, right? So is it right for your business?
Yeah. And
if you feel like your centers of influence are going to have a problem, then you can't do it. Account fees, pricing, householding. We talk about householding. It may not seem like it's a big deal, but some firms are more liberal with their householding policies. So you're not nickel and diming all your clients, right? You have a wealthy client, and their grandchildren live at a different address, and your firm doesn't let you household them, even though it's really the same relationship.
Right.
And so those are the types of things that you have to look at. That's is it right for your client, and also is it right for your business? Some firms pay on lending, some firms don't.
Right. If you look at way far into the future again, Is there any
Maybe
chance?
crystal ball
Okay,
out.
you get your
I don't know where it is.
focus your third eye.
I have a crystal cube. I have a crystal cube with my old bulldog on it. Go ahead.
So, any chance UBS or Morgan Stanley get back into protocol because they start to recognize, the trade war that might go on with any firm, and maybe there's a merger and acquisition somewhere inside of there that makes, I don't know,
Honestly,
a rival bigger, and they have to address it.
Now that I see what they're doing, so I used to think about UBS coming back into protocol, right? And I've talked to some people at UBS, and like, hey, listen, one of the challenges with recruiting to you guys is you're not in protocol, and it's a hurdle that some advisors just don't want to take. With what I'm seeing today, I don't think it matters anymore, right? I think that they're hiring the teams that they want to hire, even though they're not in protocol.
Right. Oh, right.
There's really no, if you think about it, there's no upside for them to go back into protocol because they're losing people anyway. So being out of protocol is not helping, right? It's not slowing advisor teams down. Advisors that are leaving UBS or Morgan Stanley, I'm not just picking on UBS, but advisors that are leaving non-protocol firms are taking all their clients anyway, right? So going into protocol doesn't solve that problem.
Doesn't, yeah.
And if you look at what's going on in the last couple of days or weeks, you see some large Merrill teams, UBS teams going to Morgan Stanley, going to UBS, right? So they're going to those firms.
Right. Because I guess enough time has passed where they realized, look, TRLs only go so far. Client relationships with the advisor.
True. I think really what ends up happening is, because I see this with advisors that are leaving those non-protocol firms, and UBS and Morgan Stanley are losing in court with trying to hold on to the clients that they brought to the firm.
Right.
Right. So if you're going to the firm today, those are still your clients. If you needed to leave 4, 5, 6 years from now, 7 years from now, 8 years from now, there's a high likelihood that you're going to be able to move those clients with you anyway. And ultimately, none of those firms can control where the client can and cannot go. So if you are not soliciting a client, right, but you are making an announcement to that client, said client, that you're no longer at UBS or Morgan Stanley, whatever. If you're only announcing to them, you're letting them know because you have an obligation to let your client know, hey, when you call Morgan Stanley and I don't answer the phone, right, I'm not there anymore. I just want to let you know that. Now, if the client asks, right, well, can I come with you? You can say to them, if that's what they would like, that's their prerogative, right? So it's some subtleties, and I don't want to get emails about people telling me that I'm, giving the wrong protocol advice, but there's some subtleties to that conversation. If you're interested in learning more, I'm happy to talk to you about it. But the reality is, being in protocol, not being in protocol, I don't think matters to them anymore. So why go back into protocol? There's no upside for them. Okay. And this is me telling you this. Because 3 years ago I said they're going to come back into protocol.
But it's probably fueling what we're seeing now, where advisors are recognizing protocol really doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter
one way or another.
That's exactly what we're seeing an uptick.
Yeah, right. So let's go to a firm that's not in protocol.
It doesn't matter. Right. My opinion is it doesn't matter anymore. So, to answer your question, because your question was, do I see UBS or Morgan Stanley going back into protocol?
Yeah, but
my answer is not really, because I don't see any upside for them to do that.
I was really trying to get to where we're at now, though, which is, all right, so it's safe to take a loan, go to this firm, recapitalize, whatever you want to call it.
I would tell you that it is. You still have to look at the local management. You still have to look at, again, is it right for your client? Is it right for your business? And is it right for your family? The deals are pretty good. They're structured a little differently. UBS's deal is structured differently. right? It's an upfront, transition bonus, and then a salary over 12 years. So it's a long time. You're getting a salary. There's some AUM hurdles, but they are based. They're in order to maintain or increase the salary that you're getting, right?
Right.
Because
that's a little bit different than in years past.
UBS has taken an approach about not trying to incentivize an advisor to generate commissions and revenue,
sure,
in order to hit some back end bonus.
Absolutely.
Right? So their structure is a little bit different, which is fine. And for the right advisors, I mean, I have a good friend of mine that I think it's a good deal for him. He's at the right age, because you can take that deal, and you can shorten the deal. It doesn't have to be a 12-year deal. You can shorten it depending on your age, and then you do their alpha program.
Right.
Right. So again, we trademark dual monetization. That's what dual monetization is. You go to that firm, you take their deal. At the end of their deal, you sell your book of business under their program.
Right.
Right. And UBS is called Alpha Program, and you've monetized your business twice at the same firm.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea for some advisors. Again,
couldn't agree more.
That advisor's not going independent because he's not going to be around long enough or wanting to work as hard to really get the benefit of the increased income. For a period of time he will, but with the check that they get and all that stuff. So I think that's an interesting phenomena that we're seeing with so many, all these big teams. Look, Merrill's losing advisors left and right. It's no big secret. It's not like we're not telling anything people don't know. And I think that UBS and Morgan Stanley are getting their fair share. I think that more of them than not are going independent, because the advisors that they're losing today have been around a long time. They're smart individuals. They've built great teams, and they're running businesses within Merrill Lynch, right? And so for them to lift up and out and go independent is not that big a task. And so that's why I think you're seeing them go to LPL, Sanctuary as an example, some other different firms. But again, I think the short end of this thing, the long story, is I think we're seeing this wave of W-2 to W-2 moves. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're an advisor out there and you're thinking about what you want to do, don't feel pressured to go to some independent firm if you don't want to. The deals are very lucrative on the W-2 space. Understand what it is and what it isn't, right? It's a loan. And understand how the math works, and the loan bonus agreement, all that stuff, forgivable notes. But make sure you do your homework. Make sure you understand, is this going to be beneficial to my clients? And can I sell this to my clients? Because you can't tell your client, it's not really a great firm for you, but they're giving me a shit ton of money. That's not going to go over so well. So you have to be able to develop and formulate a story about why you decided UBS over, let's say you're at Wells Fargo, right? Why you decided to go to UBS, right? And it could be, I did my research, I looked at all the available options, and I felt like UBS, for these 5 reasons, would allow me to service you the best I could. And that's why I decided to go there. One thing I've always said is, don't be bashful to tell your clients that you got paid to do it, right? Because it's a little bit of an ego thing, and your clients should know, like, you're a wanted person. Like, they wanted you. They want you. You're a quality financial advisor.
Yep.
And in order for the firms to attract someone like you, they had to pay you. It's like being a top football, quarterback, right? The firms have to pay you to do this.
Yeah, I mean, and there's downtime that you have to transition your business. There's
there's all sorts of stuff. But look, I think the downtime has gotten a lot less.
It's true.
Transitions are more successful than they have ever been.
Ever.
Both in terms of time and in terms of the percentage of clients that you take with you.
Yes.
And so keep that in mind. It's not like it used to be. If you're an advisor listening to this and you moved, 15 years ago or something like that, 20 years ago, it's not like it used to be. Now, there's some things you can't do if you're leaving a UBS or you're leaving a Morgan Stanley. There are things you can't do, and you have to be careful about that. So don't just think you can leave and you can take all your information. And please don't try to be cute. Don't try to say, I know the attorney told me I couldn't do this, but I'm doing it anyway. You have to make an assumption that the firm's going to find out everything that you do.
Right.
So
look, your client, you just rely on your client relationships.
Yeah. So anyway, with that said, I think that it's not surprising that I'm seeing this happening. I have friends at Morgan, and they're telling me that they're having a lot of success. The deals are pretty lucrative. If there's interest there, you can give us a call. But it's not surprising to me that this is happening. I said 3 years ago, I was sort of like half right, because I said they'd come back into protocol because they're going to start recruiting again. So I was sort of half right. I don't think they're going to come back into protocol, but they are recruiting again because it's a necessary thing to do. I'm not going to call it a necessary evil because it's our job, but it's a necessary thing for them to do to have a sustainable business and grow that business over time. And that is just go acquire businesses. That's what they're doing. So anyway, with that said, another great conversation. Maybe I monopolized it a little bit, but I'm passionate about this. But I appreciate it for our new listeners. I hope that was valuable. For our followers already, thank you very much for coming back again. Don't forget to go to iTunes and smash that like button. Check us out on YouTube. Leave great comments, suggestions, send us emails. Dale at eliteconsultingpartners.com, 856-316-4653, and I'm 4651. You can hit us up on Instagram at franklarosa.elite. I look forward to hearing your comments, and we appreciate all the great comments that we get. I love reading them. Anytime I hear somebody tell me, hey, we listened to this podcast, I really learned a lot. It means a lot to us. We try to just put content out that we think is going to be useful at the moment. They're very timely. Our turnaround time is usually only about a week because we want to get this stuff out to everybody. So thank you again. Great talk. Talk to you later.
Thanks for listening to Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa. If you're looking for more advice or solutions on any topics in the financial services industry, or you just want to subscribe to our podcast, head on over to eliteconsultingpartners.com/podcasts.